Oh my God.
What's the matter?
Oh, I haven't seen him in 20 years. That's what's the matter. Do I look old? Like too old?
You are too old.
Thanks. Sorry, can't turn it off.
But you like it?
Oh, being a lawyer? No.
Working?
Just a media buy.
Sounds interesting.
I'm selling dog food, Paul.
I help people cheat on their taxes for a living.
Okay, so you all hate your jobs?
Of course.
Yeah.
Most of it could be better.
If you could do anything else besides what you're doing right now, what would it be?
I want to be a movie director.
Action!
What's my motivation anyway?
How about saying the line?
I know what I'd be. A yoga instructor. Let's start in downward dog.
I know what I'd be. A chef.
Sex therapist?
You could vocalize in bed.
Like this?
Oh, yes, John!
It's a start. I've always wanted to be a detective.
I'm a doctor. I don't go around stealing vibrators.
That is for me to decide.
I know what I'd be. An artist.
Do you like it?
Very much.
I'd be a teacher.
Let's start with the reading assignment.
Did anyone read the assignment?
A priest.
We got the house for a week, so while we're here, we get to be whatever we want to be.
Call my agent.
You don't have an agent!
Wrong room.
What are we supposed to do now? Go back to our boring lives?
I know who did it!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Made for TV Movie Club Now Playing. I'm Beth. I'm one half of the Made for TV Movie Club podcast, where we talk about all those amazing TV movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Here on YouTube, though, we mix things up a little bit. We review current movies and TV shows. We interview people currently working in the industry today. So our podcast celebrates the classic of the late 20th century in film, but this channel lets us share our love for the modern entertainment world and the people creating in it today. So with all that said, let's get into it. First, I want to say that the movie I'm about to review is called The Stress is Killing Me. It is an indie film. For those of you who watch this channel or listen to the podcast, you know how much I love independent films. When I was living in Milwaukee, when I was getting my undergrad, I used to go to this theater called the Oriental Theater, which I've talked about extensively on this channel. But it's about a 100-year-old theater, almost 100 years old. It was built, I believe, in 1932 or 1934. It still stands today. It still shows movies today. And they play a lot of it. Actually, back then, they played only independent films. Today, they do have some movies that also are in other theaters, more mainstream movies. But I used to love to go and watch movies there. And I still love to go watch movies there today. I've actually done some reviews of movies I've seen recently in the last couple of months over there. And if you ever come to Milwaukee, I always suggest that you go see a movie at the Oriental Theater. It has the best movie popcorn you will ever have. It's so good. It's fresh. They do serve some wine and beer. So if you want to indulge in a cocktail or a drink, you can do that while you're watching a movie. So I'm actually going there in, I think, about a month to watch something called the Found Footage Festival, which I think is going to be really exciting. That's actually a live show where they show clips of videos, VHS tapes. So I'm really looking forward to that because I've actually seen just a handful of live shows there. One of them was I saw Ann Patchett, the author. She spoke there. And at its sister theater, at the Downer Theater, I met Ed Burns earlier this year in 2025. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because of how much I love independent films and how excited I get when I still get to watch them and talk about them on this channel. So today, as I said, I'm reviewing the comedy The Stress is Killing Me, which is now streaming on Tubi, and you can also rent it on Prime Video. The Prime Video synopsis is, at their 20th college reunion, 8 old friends take a house for the week and decide to try doing their dream jobs. A teacher, a detective, a sex therapist, instead of their boring jobs, and their dream jobs all go hilariously wrong. This movie was filmed and written and directed by Tom Carroll. So I want to talk about some of the strengths of this movie. And one of the things I really, really liked about this movie was the actual premise. I kind of felt like it was a little bit Breakfast Club meets Big Chill meets Hallmark movie. It's a fairly light movie, even though it does cover some heavier topics like troubled marriage and some of the deeper things that people experience maybe in their 30s when they aren't sure if the career that they chose was the career that they really want. I mean, I think even in my 50s, I still wonder about that sometimes. So I think it's not a film just for people in their 30s. I enjoyed it and I'm in my 50s. So some of the themes are themes that we all consider throughout our life. So I felt like the concept itself was really interesting. It's 8 people. They meet for a college reunion. So the entire film, except for the first maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10, I don't even think it's 10 minutes long, is just these 8 people who were really good friends in college. And they've come to the 10-year college reunion for the University of New Mexico. To a married couple, Todd and Sue, they rented a house, and then they ended up inviting their other 6 friends to stay with them for the week. They sit down to dinner and they talk about things that they regret. They talk about some of their things that are going on in their life today. And then they kind of start pivoting into a discussion of what would it be like if we could do the jobs that we've dreamed of always doing. And so they set out for the next week to actually, as they live in this rented house, sort of in the desert, because I think they're in New Mexico. They end up spending that week doing their dream jobs. And I thought that worked really well. And I love the concept of it because, I love films that just have a few people that are, just kind of talking a lot. I think that character-driven movies are something that I've always really been attracted to. And I think that is one of the strengths of this movie. Another thing I really liked about it is this really small cast. I mean, there's only 8 people to carry this entirety of this independent comedy. And I thought it worked really well. It seems to me like the actors were really, really well cast. They seem to have really good chemistry, at least on screen. Obviously, we don't know anything about them outside of that. They also, when I looked on IMDb, I noticed that most of them are working actors that have been working for a long time, or most of them anyway. So I thought that worked really well. I think, it just made for really good chemistry between all of the actors in all of the scenes. And I thought that was really, really worked well and one of the strengths of the film. One of the other things I really loved about this film is that there are some really, really genuinely funny moments in this film where you're just kind of laughing out loud despite yourself. For instance, Jason decides he wants to be a detective, and at one point he comes running into the kitchen, and he's got this trench coat on, sort of a stereotype of being a detective, and it's just kind of funny, and the scene itself is lighthearted and silly, and it's just he's driven to like be this detective who wants to find out what happened to, well, there's a little bit of a mystery. I'm not going to spoil it for you. So but he's trying to solve this mystery throughout the week. So and then there's another scene where Paul, one of the other characters in the movie, he wants to become a priest for a week. He's always been a very God-loving, God-fearing man. So he's decided that he wants to become a priest. And he makes this collar out of sort of just a white piece of paper. And he puts it on, and it's like too small. And you can kind of see it almost like choking him. And it's really cute. It's funny. I thought it was kind of a funny scene. And then there's other scenes throughout. And one of the other things that I thought was quite funny was this running joke of everybody's a little bit seasoned, or should I say a little bit, I can't think of the word, but they don't have a lot of tolerance for some of the things going on in the movie. And so one of the running jokes is when somebody decides to do something with the group with their dream job, everybody just walks away as soon as it fails. So for instance, Sue decides to become a teacher, and she has a lesson. She's all dressed up like a teacher. She finds this big chalkboard, and she has all these lesson plans that she's been working on all week. Everybody comes to class, and nobody had read the piece of work that she wanted to talk about, and she gets a little frustrated, and they all leave. And it's kind of funny. I think it was kind of funny. So there were like little moments like that throughout the film that I think carried it, kind of showed the chemistry of the characters, and really was one of the highlights of the film. Some of the humor, I would say, fell a little bit flat. So, for instance, Will is a restaurateur who can't cook, and his dream for the week is to become a chef. So there's sort of this running gag that he can't cook, even though he's a restaurateur. But there's a lot of people who are restaurateurs who are not chefs, and I think the good, smart restaurateur knows how to find the right chef. So I just thought that fell a little bit flat as far as some of the humor went. And then Kiki and Jason, they had sort of had a fling at the end of college, and it didn't go anywhere. But they ended up kind of trying to rekindle this fling during the movie. And they were trying to have sex in different places, like in a car, and their heads would bang and up against a fence. And it just like, it was sort of almost like gags. And they didn't just hit me as funny. I just kind of thought they were more silly. And I think if there would have been a little bit less of those kinds of moments in this film, it might have even been a little bit stronger. Another thing that I thought was a little silly was the Marcy screams because something she has disappears again. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you want to watch the movie. But so she's kind of screaming, and she's like, something somebody wouldn't really do, and it didn't really mesh with me in the movie. And that was pretty early on in the movie. So once you kind of get to know some of the characters, I think that maybe that would have been something Marcy did, but we didn't really know her all that well, if that makes sense. So I would say that this movie sits mostly at surface level, even though some of the content is a little bit deeper than surface level. But I really don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I actually found this movie to be very light. I found it fun. I thought some of the humor that felt a little bit flat didn't take away at all from the strengths of this movie. I mean, the characters themselves were very true to the character that they were written for. So, for instance, we find out that Jason may not be on the up and up all the way, and you kind of see that throughout the movie. So it's like you don't dislike him, but it makes sense for his character. And I really liked that. I thought that it showed sort of the humanity behind some of these people, but it didn't dig too far. It didn't dig too far under the surface. So if you're kind of looking for a movie that isn't going to ask too much of you and you just need some light, fun laughter, I totally recommend this movie. I finished my work one day. As you know, I am an instructor. I am a college professor. And so I was done grading, and I sat down to watch this movie, and I just found it really delightful. I watched it the whole way through. I didn't stop, and I laughed when it was funny to me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It wasn't as funny, but it didn't matter to me at all. So if you're kind of looking for that kind of film, something that's, just something to sit down and really enjoy and just not think about too much, this is the film for you. Overall, I quite enjoyed it. You know how much I love a good independent film. So for me, it just really hit the spot on a Friday afternoon. And I think you'll enjoy it if that's the kind of movie you like. And again, as I said, it's streaming currently on Tubi, and you can watch it for free on Tubi, or you can rent it from Amazon Prime. So thank you for watching. If you want more content from us, listen to our audio podcast, The Made for TV Movie Club, on your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on our socials. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We are on Threads. And you can also just search for the Made for TV Movie Club podcast. We will see you next time in the Clubhouse.